Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So on today's video, we're going to be talking about land. And we're going to be going over 10 things that you need to make sure you're paying attention to when you're buying land here in Michigan. So make sure you stay tuned. My name is Kevin Irwin. I'm a local real estate agent here in the West Michigan area. If this is your very first time to my channel, I go over everything that you need to know about living and relocating to the great state of Michigan. So do not hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions about this area at all. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me, you can even send a pigeon care if you have to. Whatever you have to do, I have your back when it comes to making a move here in West Michigan. Okay, without further ado, let's jump straight into this video. Okay, so land. Right now I'm actually out at one of our local mountain bike tracks, and if you're a mountain biker, I'm going to be doing a bunch of videos because West Michigan has a ton of different mountain bike courses and areas you can go walk, because there's one thing about Michigan, it is a very outdoorsy state, so we have tons of this kind of stuff. But that's not today's video, so make sure you guys subscribe and stay tuned for those. Very first thing that we need to do when we get out to a property that you're looking at buying is we need to go walk the land. This is the first step, because we need to know what is on that land. We need to know, is there wet areas on the land? We need to know what dry areas are on the land. So you're going to want to walk and find all of the corners of the property so you know what you're buying. Make sure there's not, old cars back there, or you get out to the middle of your 10-acre parcel that you're looking at buying and there's a big stockpile of tires that somebody dumped back there. That kind of stuff we really want to know, because in the negotiating period of putting an offer in on a piece of property, we can actually tell the seller, hey, there's a big pile of tires back there. If we buy this property from you, we want those removed. That way you're not paying to remove them and you're not having to deal with the hassle of having a big stockpile of tires or old cars or stuff like that back there. Now, a lot of that's going to depend, because obviously the earth has been here for a really long time, and you might get out to the middle of a 15-acre parcel that there's a couple old cars back there that somebody put back there 60, 70 years ago, and in order to get to them you got to take down a bunch of trees and stuff, and that might not be worth it. So the key is that we want to know what is on the property, and we want to know where your corners are. The next one, we're going to want to find comparable sales for the property. You're going to want to make sure that you're not overpaying for the property, because realistically, somebody puts a property on the market, they might think there's gold in the ground and they're just asking way too much money for it, and none of the comparable sales around the area actually support the purchase price that that seller is asking for the property. So if you're doing this research and you haven't connected with a real estate agent yet, I highly encourage you to connect with one, because we have access to all the same comparables that appraisers do, so we can give you an idea if that property is overpriced or not. And if you're looking at purchasing it with a loan, the bank is going to end up doing an appraisal on the property. So that's another way that you can figure out how much the property is worth, is by having an appraisal done and figuring out where the property's at. I do encourage you, if you're not going to do a loan, you're going to do all cash, that you have somebody like myself. I've sold a lot of land. Have us pull comparables for you. That way you know that what you're paying for the property is a good price. Next one on the list is to get a survey done. I don't care what property you buy, get a survey done. Every single purchase agreement I put together, I am trying to get a survey from the sellers. Now, if they're not willing to pay for a survey, then I highly recommend that you go ahead and purchase a survey so you know what you're buying. You don't know over the years what encroachments and stuff like that are on that property, and you want to know where your corners are, because if you buy a property, let's say you're buying a 1-acre lot and the next door neighbor has their fence 10 feet in on your property because they never had a survey done and they didn't ask for permission to put that fence up. Well, now you're going to have to fight them after we close, when you want to put your fence up and realize, holy crap, they're 15 feet on my property right now. And then it's a fight from there to get them to move their fence. We don't want to deal with that. We want to make the seller deal with that, and they're the ones selling the property. You're the buyer. My fiduciary duty to you is to make sure that you're not getting screwed over and you're getting the property that you're buying. So we always want to get a survey so we know where the corners are, make sure nothing is on the property that shouldn't be on the property. The next one is, we want to check the property for wetlands. As you can see on this trail that I'm on, there is wetlands all around. Well, a lot of times, especially if it has cattails and it's like a really nice lagoon area, they're not going to allow you to do anything with those wetlands. On top of that, if you, let's say that you're all excited and you're buying a 15-acre plot of land, and it's like, man, that's such a good price, why is it so cheap? And then you go out there, 1 acre, and I've seen properties like this, 1 acre out of that 15 acres is actually usable, and all the rest of it is actually wetlands, and you can't build on that. So we're gonna wanna make sure that we're looking for wetlands. So the next one is we want to check for flood zones. This is a big deal because there's a reason why I am going through this in the process that I'm going through this, in the steps that I'm going through this, because this is all stuff we want to do before you actually buy the property or before you even put an offer in on the property. Because if it's in a flood zone, you're going to be paying flood insurance, and flood insurance can be really, really expensive depending on what floodplain the property that you're buying is in. And it can also stop you from even building a house on that property if it's in a flood zone. You know, the times that I would worry about this is if you're, you know, let's say you're wanting to buy 30 acres out here in Michigan and you're not going to build a house on it for 5 to 10 years. You want to pay the property off and move out here and build on it. This is the kind of stuff we're going to want to know, because in that 5 to 10 years, what happens if that property completely floods out and you can no longer build a house, and now you just paid $500,000 for 35 acres and you can't build on it? That's the kind of stuff that we're wanting to avoid by doing this stuff and checking this stuff out to save you guys hassle and to save you money. Next one on the list is restrictions. We want to make sure we're checking the restrictions of the property, because depending on what you want to do to it, you might not be able to do that on that particular property. Say for instance, you're wanting to move out here, you're wanting to start a homestead, you want to get some cows, you want to get some pigs and some chickens, stuff like that. We want to make sure that we're checking for the restrictions in the township and what you can and can't do on that property. And I know the big one, everybody's interested in barn dominiums right now. They're interested in tiny homes, stuff of that nature. They're interested in off-grid living. We got to make sure that the township will approve that land for that use, so that you're not getting stuck with a chunk of land that you can't do what you want with it. So the next one is we got to make sure that the property perks, and that means we need to have a soil evaluation done on the property so that you know what kind of a septic system it can handle. Now, if you're buying a property that's close to municipalities and close to cities and towns, there's a good chance, a possibility that you're going to have city water on that property, but not always, you know. And if you're buying in a development, a lot of the times they're going to have municipal water in there and municipal sewer, so you won't have to worry about that stuff. But if you're buying a bigger chunk of land or an acre or two out in the country, chances are you're going to have well and you're going to have septic on that property. So we want to make sure that the soil, what kind of septic system it's going to need, because if you get a property that is full of clay, that doesn't allow moisture to sink into the ground very far, they're gonna make you put an above ground septic system in. Well, above ground septic systems can be anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000, where a conventional septic system could be $6,000 to $10,000. There's big differences there. So when we're on a budget and we're trying to keep within budget, we got to know all of our costs so you don't go way over and run the chance of not being able to get the house you want. All right, sorry guys, I feel like I'm out of breath on you. There's a lot of hills and stuff on these trails. This trail is really cool. This is Wallfield Park over off of Alpine, just north of Comstock Park. I'll put it down in the description where this is at so you guys can check this out. So the next one is water. Obviously, you got to drink water and you got to have a water source. You're either going to have municipal water where you don't have to worry about it quite as much, or you're going to have a well. And we really want to see what kind of soil, what kind of ground it is, and we want to see if we can find out how deep a lot of the wells are around that area to know, kind of give approximate cost to what a well is going to cost to put in. Because if you put in a 200-foot well, you could have a well that cost 10 grand, where some areas the water table is pretty high. This area the water table is kind of high, so your well might only cost 4 or 5 grand. But that's the thing. We want to verify and see, what kind of well you're going to need to put in. Now, one thing to watch out for in Michigan, in certain areas north of Grand Rapids, and this is something new that has gotten exposure recently, PFAS, forever chemicals. This is a chemical that they didn't realize was super harmful, like a lot of stuff they did back in the day, where, now we're finding out that, oh man, it causes cancer and all kinds of stuff. This one, I don't want you guys to be scared of it because it can easily be removed, but it is still a newer thing that's going on here in West Michigan, and we have to make sure we're watching out for that. So if it's in an area that we know that there's PFAS, then we're gonna wanna get a PFAS sample done of the water in that area to verify if it has it or not. Next one on the list is let's talk to the neighbors, because they're going to be able to tell us all kinds of things about that area that we might not know because we just don't know because we're not from that area. We're going to ask them, hey, has there ever been any major issues with this property? Do you know of any water issues? Do you know of people having bad perk tests and not being able to put in a conventional septic system? We can find out a lot of information from the neighbors before you buy that property. Now, the last one is title policy. We're gonna want to have a title policy on whatever property that you are buying. This is super important because if there's somebody that staked the claim on that property, or maybe they never recorded it and they think there's oil down there or something crazy, and you don't have a title policy, they could come after you and basically take your property. We don't want that. So we want to make sure that we're having a title policy done on the land so we can find out everything we can about the history of that property. Let's find out if there is owned mineral rights and stuff of that nature, so that if you have the mineral rights to that property. Sometimes it's unknown who has them. It could be somebody way back in the day that has them. We're going to try and find that information out for you guys, so that you're not going to have to worry about somebody coming and trying to stake a claim on your property. There you have it. 10 things to make sure that you're checking into when buying land here in Michigan. Now, I'm going to say Michigan is a beautiful state. I absolutely love living here. I was born and raised in the West Michigan area, and after helping so many people relocate to Michigan, I have found a love of this state. It is absolutely beautiful. The people are fantastic, and it's just a fun place to come, raise a family, retire, pretty much anything you can think of. Michigan has you covered in so many ways. So make sure you guys smash that subscribe button, hit the like button for me. It does help the channel out. And if you guys have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I will make time for you. Okay, we'll see you on the next video.